Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Daniela, and today I'm going to be doing the finale for the Fantastic Ladies group collab Pan That Palette theme, which this year, 2024, was fun size. So it's pretty much about small palettes. This theme was voted on, and it was made by Jacki Lootens. Usually, the goal of a Pan That Palette is you focus on a palette and try to finish it up. I'm not that sort of panner. Even hitting pans this year was hard. I wasn't wearing tons of makeup or eye makeup. But I did get some progress in my palette, or palettes. It's 3 palettes. And yeah, let's get into that. Since I know that I'm not someone who can really focus on one palette and do tons of progress, I decided to do 3 little palettes that I wanted to get more use out of. And they're all kind of different colors and different ages, but they're all from the same brand. So they're all mini palettes from Natasha and Denona. I have 3. My oldest is the mini star. Right now it looks a bit different because I decluttered these 2, but I'll explain that in a bit. Then my second oldest of these is the mini nude. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection. This pan was already in here before the project. And then one of the newer ones, it's the mini retro. This is also one of my favorites in my collection, and it's actually pretty versatile because you have pinks and these like greenish grays, or more like gray leaning towards the gray, grays leaning towards the green side. And yeah, those are some new pans, so we'll get into those. So let's just get started with my most exciting one, which is the mini retro. So in the last update, I didn't have any pans, but I really wanted to have some pans before the end of this project, so I could have some really nice progress. So as you can see, I've got a pan in the sky, which is Galaxia, and a really little pan in Pixie, but you can see that there kind of is a dip all throughout. This one is more like satin leaning, even worked well as a blush. Yeah, well, this guy can be a topper, or if you pack it on, mostly used with my finger. And then here you can see this guy also had a dip. I might have been able to focus on it to pan, but it still had quite a ways to go, and I don't use much at a time, because when you use just a little bit, it's more like a wash of silver, but if you pack it on, it becomes darker. Then this is industrial. Then this greenish, looks green here. It's more gray, but it has that green undertone that really works with my skin tone, which is a bit more yellow leaning. It's very hard pressed, both of these are, so you can see some wear, but it would take a long time to hit pan. And then this guy, vintage taupe, very nice, pretty much rosy taupe, very versatile. I used it quite a bit, and you can see there is a dip forming. Still a ways to go though for pan. So I'll just go over the numbers. So Galaxia, that first one, the very shimmery topper. So that one only took me one more use to hit pan since the last update, and it has a total of 12 uses. Then industrial, the shimmery gray, that one I used 3 times since the last update, also has 12 uses total. Then 60s, that matte gray, that one I used twice since the last update for 12 uses as well. Then vintage taupe, that pinkish matte, I only used it 2 times since the last update, and that has a total of 17. And then Pixie, the last shimmer. That one, I was really focusing on it. I used it 9 times since the last update because I wanted to hit pan. So yeah, and then I used that 17 times total. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that, and I was happy to get a lot more use and get to know the palette a lot more. After that, I'll go into Mini Star. This one is one of my oldest, maybe like my 3rd oldest. It's like 6 years old at this point. Still works well. So these 2 shades, it was like, had Cosmo, I think it was on this side, which was a green shimmer. That one had pan, but I mean, I never really liked it. Couldn't make it work really, and even with like Frankens, it just wasn't what I liked. So I ended up decluttering that. And then Orion, that one was like one of those blue shift with a brown base, but you would have to really pack it on to actually even see the shift. I think that one was also just getting old. It had a pan, but yeah, I decluttered it. It just wasn't my favorite. So this guy is actually a bit of Orion, that blue, mixed with this middle shade, which I was actually able to hit pan today. This look is all with these colors. So we've got this guy all over the lid. Add a little bit of some other shimmer on top to make it even more shimmery. I've got this guy in the crease, this guy in the outer V. It blends still really well, so it doesn't look super dark. This is some Franken I just added to the palette of some shadows, kind of like a yellowish and a bluish leaning creams. So now it's kind of like a neutrally cream shadow. That's in my inner corner. And then this guy, which is a Franken of Orion and the middle shade, kind of to make like a more cool tone version. So I really like this Franken. I had made Frankens before, so those were kind of like really fluid from this palette over this year. They were really fluid. I would use them, but really the only one that I liked was that mix of Orion with Bellatrix. So I'll show you the difference here. So you can see Bellatrix is more neutrally, it's more rose leaning, and this guy's more taupe. So they give pretty different effects, so I like that. So this guy having the lower lash line. Yeah, so you can see this guy's got a really big dip. Still quite a few uses left to go to hit pan, but yeah, he's doing well. This guy is pretty thin now. I've used some Frankens I got rid of, and then a lot of it really is in here. I'd say maybe like half the product is in here, maybe a third is in here. So it's pretty thin in here, but it still took quite a few uses to hit pan. And then this guy is getting a visible dip now, which I'm pretty happy with, as you can see, but that's also going to take a while to hit pan. And then this guy's pretty thin in there. So yeah, I'll go through the uses now. It wasn't a ton of uses, but this palette, since I've had it so long, like I've hit pans before, like I've used it quite a bit. So I'll just talk about the 3 left. So that lighter matte called Attic, that one I used 3 times since the last update, and it has 17 uses total. Then Bellatrix, I used it 4 times since the last update, and so it has 12 uses total. And then Earth, the dark matte, that one I used 3 times since the last update, and it has 13 uses total. not tons of use. Like it's older, and I guess it's kind of uninspiring since it's just, you know, neutral matte, neutral shimmer, dark matte. Like it's pretty neutral, but it's pretty good for traveling, I guess. I guess since I wasn't doing a lot of eye makeup this year, and like to the office, I just wouldn't use eye makeup. And then if I'm at home, I wasn't really inspired by neutrals. So yeah, next year is going to be a more colorful palette, and hopefully that helps revive my creativity. But that'll be for the next video, which is whenever I upload the intro for next year's Pan That palette. Then the last palette is the Mini Nude palette. This one's a great quality palette. It's the more warm leaning one, but actually paired pretty well with Mini Retro. Especially like this guy. So this is more red leaning, worked really well with Vintage Taupe, that rosy matte. So yeah, I kind of like those as a kind of a peachy combo. So in here, so this pan was already here, barely expanded. It took me a long time to finally even reach into this guy. Like bronzes don't really inspire me, so that's why it took a while to use it, but yeah, there is some wear now. This guy I also use, but it's pretty hard pressed, so it's hard to use, hard to see the use. And then this guy I love as an inner corner. It's like one of my favorite ones in my collection. I use it a ton, and you can see a dip, but it's just one of those, it just takes forever because I don't use much at a time. It does work as a highlight, but I don't really want to waste it like that for now. Like I have plenty of highlights, and I don't feel the need that I need to like finish it right now. At one point, if I do, or if I'm traveling with it, then I'll use it that way. But yeah, so yeah, that's got pretty good dip. And then this guy, I was really happy with using him because it really introduced me to kind of red browns, like browns with a red undertone. I really like that on my eyes. Like reds kind of scare me, like if they're a true red or with a pink base, but when they're just like the hint of red with a brown, it's much more approachable. And using it with the Vintage Taupe taught me I can make kind of like those peachy colors with it. So I had a lot of fun using it. It's also very hard pressed, so you might be able to see some wear there, but that would take a long time to hit pan. So I'll go through the uses now. So that bronzy one, I used it 4 times since the last update, and it has 6 uses total. Then the light matte, I used it 2 times since the last update for 6 times total. And then that light shimmer highlight, I used 9 times since the last update. I used that 32 times total, so more than any other in this project. But yeah, only like halfway done the pan. Still a ways to go. And it had a bunch of use before I started, so I probably only got to like a quarter of the way down. Then Sienna, the one that already had a pan, I used that 4 times since the last update for 7 times total. And then that reddish brown called Soil, I used that only once since the last update for 10 uses total. I forgot to mention that the first shade is called Bronzage, the second shade is Quan, and the third is Lumino. In the end, like, it's not as much progress I was hoping. I was hoping I would hit a few more pans, but it's alright. Like, I'm glad I focused on these palettes. I've also been doing kind of like no pan left behind, so making sure I'm getting through all my palettes. And I guess it's helped me learn what I'm kind of into right now, that, you know, I don't really want to just do like neutrals most of the time. Like, if I want to do makeup most of the time, I kind of want to have fun with it, right? And if I need neutrals for, like, you know, going out or you know, occasions I don't really want to have like bright makeup, then I'll just use some then, or, you know, just focus on 1 or 2 shadows during the year, kind of as my go-to, like, easy, like, I know it's like an eye look, like panning a look pretty much, but yeah, I'll have something like that in next year's project. So yeah, anyways, it was a good theme. It's nice working on little palettes. They don't look as daunting. But yeah, thank you for watching, even though it wasn't like super interesting. But yeah, I'll see you again soon. We've got quite a few more videos to upload. Bye.